Glad to have you on
Thank
Business
you.
Daily.
Good afternoon.
All right. So the conversation is
morning.
on with regards to the the resurgence of development commissions, regional development commissions in Nigeria. We're looking at, are we not in a way creating an imperative where we go back to regional government?
Well, in a way, but technically not. What is going on is we can be looked at in two ways. First, you have the regional groups agitating for devolution of power, for more resource control. That feeling that the federal government still controls a lot in terms of resources, in terms of power. And if you look at the mainstreams of our revenue, is on the exclusive list. So permanently, for now, controlled by the federal government. So this, in a way, to address and pacify those kind of situations whereby the regions are calling for a lot. You remember, historically, we have done the 13% derivation. We have created all forms of, piecemeal approach. Now we are looking at institutional means by which, but that also points to this agitation about, do we federalize Nigeria and all of us become one, or should we continue to, formulate these sort of systems, to allow for development to happen? On the other leg, that is also pointer to the fact that development has not been equitable, has not been, this social justice has not prevailed in terms of administration of development and allocation of resources. And, regional promoters, in terms of regional development promoters, are looking at it as institutional means of having a body that can warehouse this type of development. But interestingly, if you look at the framework for the Development Commission, you will see that it's usually focused on addressing a particular need. If you look at Southeast, for instance, in 1970, when the war ended, there was this 3R, promise of how we are going to build back. That promise was never kept. So it's interesting that right now, both the president and people like the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives have been able to bring Nigeria back. Because you see, when you perpetuate injustice and you don't pacify or address it, it continues to breed resurgence of violence, crisis, and what have you. So with what has now happened, and statutory allocation coming from both ecological fund and other budgetary allocation, what is now left is how that body will translate this policy into tangible development on ground. So on both ends, there are issues as to whether this is breeding, a kind of centripetal forces or centrifugal forces within our system. On the other end, people are saying we are democratizing development by trying to harness what is the competitive and comparative resource advantage of each region. That this may even be the way to better manage our diversity and promote holistic development. In the Southeast, can we use this commission to address environmental degradation, infrastructure, and manufacturing? In the South-South, can we use this to address maritime opportunities? In the Southwest, can we use it to address financial and economic superpower? In the North, can we use it to champion issue of agricultural revolution? So, and this must be the thinking and the philosophy around it.
Indeed. Let me draw a comparison with the NDDC. NDDC is 24 years old. If we should learn from what NDDC has achieved in the 24 years of its existence. According to the report, over 7 trillion naira has been so far allocated to that commission in 24 years. Will you say NDDC has been able to achieve the purpose for which it was created?
No, every Nigerian today agrees that NDDC was politicized and made project-based agency, not development-based.
And you don't think the new commission should be politicized as well?
People know more now and knows better. And that is why when there was this kind of abracadabra, political abracadabra with the appointment of the Southeast Development Commissioners, just like what we saw with the NDDC, at the inception, you saw how the president intervened and immediately restored to the original arrangement of equity and what the law provides as to who will come from where. But you can never divulge the issue of accountability from active citizenship. There is no politician in Nigeria or elsewhere that has been wired to just wake up and be accountable. There are frameworks for accountability, and it must start from people being aware. What has this law said? What finances have been provided in the budget? What project is being earmarked, for this, with this fund? How is it being implemented? Where? People must organize to hold. Thank God that these things are at the regional level. So even if anything happens, people should be able to organize and hold them accountable. To answer your question directly, we have seen the failures of NDDC. We have seen disarticulation in terms of development planning, although that is changing now. But we have not also seen the issue of tracking. Even the people NDDC gave scholarship abroad. Where are they? Where is the manpower? So that is what this new commission, a lesson they must never take from NDDC. So NDDC is not the model, because a development commission, development and projects development are not the same. Development is holistic, is environmental, is human index development, is both infrastructure, is social. So all the social formations, all the infrastructure, you have to first of all have a design, a philosophical ideology of where you want this commission to intervene. Because don't forget, this is an interventionist agency.
Absolutely.
We've got the state government, we've got local government, we've got even the national government also. So we don't want a replica of maybe NDDC doing project and once somebody else will claim it. No, we should be clear as to where is the development plan for this state or region, like interstate roads, like super, high power markets, like a development program that cut across board, like security support intervention infrastructure that everybody can benefit in, like a manpower manufacturing institution that can cater for the need of that region. So there is a way to model development planning so that it will cover every sector of the economy. So, and I still believe knowledge is critical. People must be aware. If you are not aware, it will go the route of NDDC. The first thing is awareness that there is this commission, that this is the resources available to the commission. And another thing we have said is competitiveness in terms of recruitment is key. When you recruit people that are probably favored, if somebody may be qualified, but because it's not even what he's looking for, and you ask him to go and do it, there will be a form of redundancy. Innovation and initiative will be weak. And that is what, there are a lot of young people who can come into, it's not people who are already in many ministries for years, now fighting to go to the new commission. That is not what, except if you are in a ministry or agency and you've got the wherewithal, you're passionate about coming to help this new baby grow. That is only when you should go there. If you're going there as a retirement home to bring what you call how we have been doing it before, please help us to stay away so that we can achieve development
Ambassador
in these regions.
Chibuzor, can you, the influence of politicians, can you indeed, can you stop talking about that?
The politicians created this institution in the first place. The influence of politicians are a representative influence. The question is, what model of influence do they have? Is it selfish or is it for a common good? So if a politician maybe helped somebody to enter into an office, that office has rules and regulations. It has even the law establishing it. You are expected as an individual, as prescribed by our constitution, to work in terms of putting national interest, putting common good, putting social justice first. And people should be punished for not imbibing the aspirations of Chapter 2 of our Constitution in the way and manner they discharge their public office. Because Chapter 2 is clear, I think Section 13, on the way that state powers performing legislative, executive, and judicial roles must do so democratically, and employ the values of social justice, equity, common good, security, and welfare of citizens. So proper orientation, proper indoctrination, development planning must be doctrinal. That is philosophically focused on the need and purpose for which this agency has been created.
Yeah. Let's look at the diversity or the equality of states. If you go to Southeast, for example, a state like Anambra State is not at the same level with Ebonyi State, for example. When you look at the resources contribution, because we understand states will have to contribute resources for the commission to function effectively, how will you address that imbalance?
Well, it's not states contributing their own local resources. It is their share from a percentage of their share from ecological fund allocation that is now going to, because that fund has never been enough to address the erosion, devastation in the Southeast. You can see that state governors come to beg federal government to help them. The kind of erosion, devastation, and environmental in the Southeast, I don't think is if any state government that goes on it full-fledged, most of them, will not even be able to do other projects that impact the life of people. So I think even with the commission, you still need a lot of intervention to be able to tackle the level of erosion there. And erosion control and prevention is key before it washes a lot of infrastructure away, because you spend a lot of money to build road. You may even take loan. Then erosion comes and then takes that road out. You are owing the loan, you are owing the principal and interest. Your people, you need to feed them. But erosion is disturbing you. So that is why if you look at the act, principally, it focuses on addressing that and infrastructure. So another thing the commission presents is an opportunity. Among all the zones, the Southeast geopolitical zone has been the only zone that have not been able across time to come together in terms of the political powers from each state, like state governors, to address a common need. There is no common project, to my knowledge, being done in collaboration with the 5 governors. And yet, this is an area with the square meter is not even that much. And so you present all the Southeast Economic Summit meetings that have been going on, report they have produced on economic transformation, social security, and security of lifestyle. This is the time they need to now use this common front to champion and implement those reports. They have held Southeast Security Summit, they have held Southeast Economic Summit group and what have you. But implementation, even Southwest was able to implement Amateku. In the North, they were able to implement their own. Our own, the person in charge resigned because he said he couldn't be funded because we don't have that system. So the Development Commission should position to play a political role and more focus on development.
Now, finally, as we wrap up, now I don't know if my guest Aliu is still on there. Ali, okay, so let me quickly take your final take now as we wrap up. Now, you've laid out some of the positive that can indeed be taken out of this commission. You talk about what we need to learn from the failure of NDDC now. What will you say now? Like at the initial stage, you made a reference to the Southeast Development Commission where there was some politicking. How do you think that can be addressed in a short run, if you can do that in 30 seconds?
Well, I believe that some people who like too much political power and less of focus on people development should stay away from us, because the Southeast has suffered, enough. And we must thank people like the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Reverend Benjamin Kanu, PhD, for CON, for being able to intervene and ensure there is equity, and because this is a baby that is taken on. The way you nurture that baby is critical. If you politicize the appointment process from the beginning, you have already set the tone for this articulation in terms of development. The president too, for having the presence of mind, irrespective of the fact that there's been a public announcement to correct that, must also be commended. Then those that have been charged with the task Go out there
All
and work for the people of Nigeria and Southeast.
All right. I must thank you, Ambassador Chibuzor Okereke, public policy analyst, for your time on Business Daily. That has an interesting contributions there. With that is a wrap on the show for today, and of course for the week. We'll be back on Monday. I am Yusuf Akogu.